I mean, Beyond's Amumu was just glorious. Beyond was the most impressive jungler in Challenger. Bless came onto the scene much later and also was impressive in his own right, but Beyond has that pocket Amumu, and if they put together an Amumu draft, at least we'll have a fun game to cast in this first set.
Yeah, and that one Amumu game is their only game win on the season
100%
so far.
victory.
That's true. Amumu's 100% in LCK right now. It's pretty impressive. And of course, Ever starting out hot with a win over CJ. We later found out CJ not the strongest team in the league. They did take a game off of Jin Air too, which is actually pretty impressive. But these guys can get crazy when they want to.
Yeah, but it was Longzhu that got crazy. We already mentioned it. The blind pick Twisted Fate Ever have a very weak early game. In fact, these two teams are number 9 and number 10 for early game. Yeah. One of them has to win the series, so let's see who can step up. Has Ever realized those weaknesses as we look at the mid lane for our featured matchup? It was when Tempt was presented with the blind pick TF. You're like, okay, which assassin will it be? It was the Fizz, and it was not an impressive performance from Tempt when he had to be the one to really control a lane and get on top of that Twisted Fate.
Yeah, very true. So both these teams really with a lot to work on, but like we said, one of them needs to win. MVP's best chance to take a series yet in LCK Summer, and Ever, looking to get maybe their second win of the season. That would propel them up to 2-3, which isn't so bad. That would bring them close to like Africa, and weirdly enough, arguably Tigers and KT.
See what sort of jungle picks that ESC can get a hold of. When Bless has been playing the Nidalee and Kindred, that very much fits his wheelhouse. Just like Blank when he came into the SKT organization, he wants to pick up the carry junglers where he can. So if he's forced onto one of these more control junglers, I feel like that will really hold back the ESC Ever early game. And if Bless doesn't get his chance to really set the tempo, I worry about ESC once again having a very passive early game, which might play into MVP.
Could be. Well, here we go. Picks and bans for game number 1 between MVP and ESC Ever here on LCK Summer. Your home for abbreviations.
It's true.
Of course. Elise, the first ban.
Interesting to see an Elise first ban against Bless. If he plays control jungles, he does prefer the Elise, so hard to say whether we'll see 3 jungle bans or not. It feels like Nidalee and Kindred, again, need to be accounted for, but of course Beyond could always try to pick one at first pick.
Sure. All right, and the Ashe ban. Okay, well, LokeN has been, LokeN has been probably one of the bright spots on the ESC lineup right now, and his Ashe has been very good. Their pick comps have been pretty decent so far.
Yeah, traditionally, it's been a strong pick forever. LokeN really struggled against Longzhu. He played a lot of Caitlyn. He played the ranged champions, but was zerged down by champions like Expression Swain. He had problems positioning-wise, and okay, his team wasn't really setting up for him, but ESC look best when LokeN is hard carrying, and he didn't really get a chance to do that against Longzhu.
Yeah, wow, the Swain ban. Okay. Huh. I mean, Swain can be strong in this meta right now, and we've seen ESC play it in the past, but do you really think it's ban-worthy?
I think it can be. With Vlad off the wall, they want to take the other big sustained damage mage in Swain off as well. It's a flex pick, which also Ever has always been famous as an organization for really engineering smart double TP flex picks. They've actually been mostly sticking the Swain in the mid lane. The win rate for Swain in top lane is much higher than mid lane in Champions so far. And we see the Varus ban last. Tempt is a well-known Varus player, but they don't want to give it over to MVP, and the jungle pool is going to be full power this game.
Yeah, neither Kindred or Nidalee are banned, so MVP is going to grab that Nidalee for Beyond right away. ESC can grab Kindred or something else a little bit later on. But another thing we haven't mentioned yet is that Azir is actually available too. A lot of powerful picks. Azir, Maokai, a lot of good stuff out there.
A lot of edge meta picks were banned away in this series, so we may actually see the best of the standard meta become available. Standard meta will change. We expect to jump to 6-11 next week, so Trinity Force top laners and a whole lot of other hijinks will be available. It's going to be a fun week of Champions.
I can't wait, man. That's going to be awesome. I want to see more aggro in the top lane.
Well, yeah. Trinity Force is around just for you. No more Maokai versus Echo Wars, Doa.
That'll be great. I'll be looking forward to it. So, the Aurelia isn't terrible right now, but yeah, again, we're not going to really see it till 6-11. They're going to go for Trundle Braum, so that is a tanky duo to start things off with. Maybe kind of anticipating the Maokai pick. No mystery about where those picks are going, though, I suppose.
And that duo also deals very well with the poke. It's the sort of duo you want to draft if you're going to take a poke comp. But in this case, you see Nidalee, you want to be able to answer a poke comp. So makes a lot of sense to take that in the first round. As you mentioned, the flex pick Trundle, usually one of the reasons it has so much power, but very clearly going to be top lane Trundle. So what can MVP put together to take that on the top lane? Will it just be something standard, like I guess the mages, I mean, that's the one point, is that when you see mages banned away, mages are one of the strongest picks into Trundle, because stealing away the stats when you're building AP, it doesn't happen. If you're just going to have mostly health stacking, you're very happy to opt into that Trundle matchup, because you get much less value with the Trundle ultimate.
That's true. Azir and Lucian picked up for MVP, so another couple powerful picks, but you know, like we mentioned, with the Braum Trundle, ESC already giving themselves answers to kind of deal with this, but I don't know, it kind of feels like you're sort of just putting up the shield and hoping your opponent can't get through it. You know, how do you win games at this now?
Well, that's where you have to see the draft that comes with it. I really want to see Sivir from ESC Ever. Now, Sivir Braum doesn't lane that well into Lucian, especially if we see an aggressive AD carry choice like the Bard, but it was the Sivir that really propelled Ever to champions. That was the big story with LokeN hard carrying in the promotion series. The Caitlyn was caught out consistently in the series against Longzhu, so they do have a much stronger front line. They can set up around it better, but I feel like this team really profits from having the Sivir, because it's their late game decision making that really makes them strong. But for now, they really seem to be settling on AD carry. Maybe they'll actually last pick AD carry, but it's going to take the Kindred in this rotation.
Well, I mean, it looks like they're kind of going with some wave clear on Viktor. They've got a little bit of power on the Kindred, and so it kind of seems like, yeah, they're just trying to hard counter this poke comp more than anything, kind of.
And then one of the reasons why you don't take the AD carry here is if you want to play a champion like Sivir, if you pick it now, then the enemy team's like, okay, we have to go all in on dominating the lane, get the Karma, get the Bard, whichever one you want to choose, and try to really harass down the Sivir. So if you can hide information, you can flash the Caitlyn, change the jungler, there's a greater chance that maybe they'll take a less laning-focused support, and you can get away with the Sivir pick. Now, they could still go for Caitlyn. We'll see what MVP want to do. There's been a lot of Karma, both mid and support, in Champions this week, so it wouldn't be a big surprise.
Yep. And they might just go with the Maokai, and not the Draven, but yes, the Maokai.
This would very much be committing to wanting to make proactive 5v5 TP plays, because very famous is the Trundle versus Maokai matchup. We know how that will go. The Trundle will outsplit push, be able to ult and steal away stats. So MVP are committing to being proactive, because if you play reactive against what is going to be a massively strong 1-4, irrespective of which AD carry comes out, you will eventually lose the game to ESC.
Yeah, I mean, MVP's played this kind of comp well before, so I don't really have any complaints about it.
It's one of those things where the one criticism you can have about MVP with comps like this is that they'll get their advantages, they'll snowball them well, but closing out a game is not something they're great at. We saw them play super safe against KT Rolster and then lose in the most dramatic of fashion, even though they had 3 inhibitors down and 53 hit points on the Nexus. So as with most young teams, they can play too safe, and if you play too safe, if you let Crazy get ahead, you can really suffer for it.
And they're going to go with Ezreal. Okay, so a bit of poke of their own and just a safe, high damage, late game 80 carry pick.
It's also the standard pick into the Lucian. This is very much the safest 80 carry choice with Lucian at full power. Again, one of the last series we'll see before Lucian sees his nerfs as well. In so many different ways, items are changing, champions are being nerfed and buffed respectively. This is the last day of the old meta. Bring in the new one next week.
Yeah, should be fun. Should be cool. So, we will see. Ah, it's a chicken advertisement. Here we go. Oh yeah. Chicken.
That guy really likes the chicken.
Yeah, it's like drawn over the He-Man thing, you know?
Yeah, I see it now.
You see it? Yeah.
We got the dank memes going on with chicken.
He-Man chicken in Korea. That's the kind of sponsor I want for my esports broadcast.
Funnily enough, the challenger scene in spring was Nene Chicken Challenger.
That's true. That's a popular chicken place here in Korea. Chicken and beer. People like it.
Always together, never apart. In Korea,
Pretty much, it's true. Well, ever an MVP. The challenger rivalry comes to LCK Summer.
The two teams, remember in the intro we have all 10 teams, the MVP and Ever alone, and the other 8 teams are ganging up on them. Well, we're going to see those two teams play off against each other. I like what MVP have, a proactive draft. They're going to look to take the win early, get a lot of advantages, stack those Drakes. Ever, crazy 1-4 split push, very good team fight comp in the late game. This is going to be a good one to watch.
I think so. Should be fun as we move into game number 1 between MVP and ESC Ever. Let's see who takes it, jumps out ahead in this best of 3. It's game time. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Oh man, it's Cloud Drake again. Lame. MVP versus ESC Ever here in our first game of the day. Why is it always a Cloud Drake, man? I swear, like 95% of the time, it's a Cloud Drake.
So a week ago, KT versus SKT, Achilles and I were casting like, this is a hyped matchup, Telecom Wars. The first 3 Drakes, Infernal, Mountain. I'm like, okay, the Drake understands. It's a hyped game. We're going to have the hyped Drakes as well. This is maximum hype. So let's hope for SKT Samsung, all red Drakes wherever possible. That's what we want. Mountains and Infernals.
That's a good plan. Whoa, Azir.
Calm down.
You okay, man? I don't know.
Did you know that today is officially my 1-year anniversary from the first day I casted for OGN?
Oh, really? It is?
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Been a good year.
Yeah.
Here's to another one, though.
We're glad to have you, man. I didn't know that. I'm not a very good co-caster, I guess. Congratulations.
You also missed my birthday. You didn't actually.
I know. I don't.
You were there for bowling. It was a good time.
Didn't I get you a sick birthday present?
You did, actually.
Yeah.
While we have the jungle going on, you got me Nintendo Power Issue 1.
I did.
That was a good deep cut. I liked it.
Well, we appreciate the vintage gaming lifestyle.
It's true, which is actually, there's plenty of options to enjoy that in Korea.
That's right. A fan of Chun Young-jun. Korean hype man, there he is.
There he is.
That's right, the best. Whoa, Totoro flashes in there. There's the exhaust onto ADD. Gonna try to take out this Maokai early. Flashes down, they might get it. LokeN, one more auto, and that is it. First blood goes over to LokeN right off the bat. Man, props to Totoro for being the bloodthirsty support and flashing in to get that passive stacking going.
So what happened there was that ESC camped the most aggressive brush. We saw Maokai enter lane. The lane swap hadn't been confirmed at that point, and he certainly didn't expect the duo lane to be there. He expected them to be at Krugs if there was to be a lane swap. They show up, super, super aggressive. The flash Braum, it worked for Hachani when he was stealing red buff, then he died. But in lane, much more effective. And wow, big advantage early for ESC.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. That is a huge difference. And, you know, on top of that, putting that Maokai down early is going to make it, you know, even easier to shut it down when you think about the stat stealing that Crazy's going to be doing on this Trundle. So, dangerous times already for MVP.
And Maokai will just go and enter lane and bot lane, but he's going to have less experience than Crazy. Of course, not going to be a massive amount. Crazy, you can see on your screen, is still level 1, but ESC with that little lane swap adaptation. KT tried that, and of course, failed miserably with the turret dive they tried a few days ago, but this is much cleaner from ESC, and they profit with the first blood.
Yep.
Also worth noting that the kill credit went on to Ezreal, which is super ideal. Tier will come earlier. Laning phase will be smoother, and we'll see a 2-item Ezreal even faster for ESC Ever.
Yeah, I think so. Beyond just farming in the enemy jungle, going for the Gromp. He'll get it. The Gromp is his.
Mid lane is about as standard can be on patch 6.10. Again, this is another lane that most likely will not see the light of day too often on 6.11 with specifically the big targeted nerfs towards Azir.
Oh yeah, Azir's getting plucked, man.
That's fair.
Yeah. His chicken is plucked.
You know that in 2-3 months' time, Riot will subtly buff him and we'll see him again.
Probably. Probably. Well, as it is. More kind of slow going with the lane swap. Max helping out in the mid lane just a little bit on that Karma.
So the first time we saw SKT on the Rift this season, as Totoro's coming for a visit.
Yeah, lands the Q onto Ian, just delays that recall a little bit.
When we saw that first SKT series, I believe it was against CJ, it was the same situation. They picked Duke into the Trundle versus Maokai matchup. They gave up an early Drake, all to set the Trundle ahead. And with that early kill, the CS advantage is already there for the Trundle. Expect to see ESC really prioritize their early game pathing and warding, about giving Trundle as many advantages as possible to really set up the 1-4 split push, and specifically the Trundle lane against the Maokai as much as possible.
Yeah. Got a feeling that they probably want that. Yep. Wow, lane swaps.
Glorious lane swaps.
Exciting stuff. And I mean, this is going to be probably a pretty passive opening aside from that really early first blood, because nobody's really incentivized to go after the Cloud Drake. So we might just kind of see a lot of farming for a while.
Can really profit a Kindred vertical jungling just because you get the spawns onto the passive procs, you get the marks of the Kindred, you get snowballing. Didn't catch how many he has this game, but Bless will definitely be happy about the extended lane swap game.
Probably.
Crazy will pick up the last hit goal to once again get that Trundle a core item. Now we've seen some interesting item choices in the top lane versus Maokai. Yesterday we saw the Executioners calling first from Someday. Another champion that can very easily itemize into that Executioner's calling. In fact, we saw a Trundle first item pick it up. You don't have Tiamat, you don't get wave control, but it does really help you in those trades against the Maokai.
That Executioner's calling actually worked really well too. It was quite effective. Tempt just trying to force Ian out of lane as he pushes up.
So one of the reasons why I would really like Executioner's Call in this game, because you think about if we see standard lanes, you can get punished for going Executioner's Calling as Trundle just because you walk into lane, you don't have any AoE from the Tiamat, so you can't control the wave, and then you can get pushed in. Yep. However, when you see these lane swap scenarios, a lot of times we see freezing happening in the lanes in top and bottom side, so the fact that you can't push is actually something that you don't mind so much. So there is more flexibility in when you see two turrets down in top and bot to go for Executioner's Call and not lose out on that pushing tempo that you get from TM. But it's just going to be the cowl, at least his first time.
Better safe than sorry, I guess.
When the jungler is Nidalee or Elise, when it's one of those magic damage junglers, then yeah, probably safe to go for cowl first instead of something more offensive.
Yep. I feel like sometimes I hear Spectral Cowl and I hear Spectral Cow, and I'm like, I suppose I could see that being an animal in Summoner's Rift, like a ghostly cow,
Remember, though, there is no cow level.
That's true, but there is a cow champion, and so maybe there should be a Spectral Cow Alistar skin.
So a bit like the Spooky Gangplank,
yeah.
Spooky Alistar.
Only we don't need to remove Alistar from the game for a while to introduce the skin. Let's not do that.
No lore event for Spectral.
Well, you can have a lore event, just don't remove champions from the game to do it.
So what would the lore event for Spectral Alistar be?
I don't know. His past finally catches up with him, and he's taken out.
To be fair, it kind of feels like we're living in the lore event for Spectral Alistar because he saw that big nerf and now no one's playing Alistar, so...
He basically did become a ghost, didn't
Exactly.
he? Yeah, it's true.
He's on the Rift, you just can't see him.
Right. Maybe. I don't know if I'm ready to believe that he's there. I guess that really does make him like a ghost. Like, some people believe in him, some people don't.
So little Alistar play. Like, the naysayers are correct on that one. I, for one, miss Alistar. He makes plays, which is what I like from my supports. It's cool.
Wow, Crazy's been able to pick up quite the CS lead right now due to the bottom lane pushing way towards ESC. And LokeN just kind of farming that. ADD doesn't really have anywhere to go right now.
You can see he's going for Boots of Swiftness just to try and farm wherever he can, but that means that if he ever enters lane, he's going to have a big combat stats disadvantage with a build like that.
He's in mid right now, which is kind of shocking.
He's picking up CS. There's no reason for him to be so overextended in the top side. They don't even have any vision in the top side, and this is just what happens with Maokai. Basically, every Maokai in a dual lane swap is effectively like Dyrus was on TSM. They get no jungle pressure, they get no wards defensively, and they just have to make do with what they can find.
It's a hard life, man. And then they leave and start playing a lot of Overwatch. That's what happens?
That's exactly what Maokai is going to be doing.
All right.
Catch his stream on Twitch TV.
I can see it. Oh, Beyond doesn't connect with the spear. Bless coming in, and Beyond on the run. Oh,
that's aggressive.
Used. Yeah, they really want to get this pick on the Beyond, but that's a bold move to make with the Kindred. I think maybe he thought Crazy could get his pillar down in front of him and slow him that way, but I don't know. That flash may not have been a good idea for Bless.
All the summoners up. It did look like a low percentage. Oh, Ian's low.
Yeah,
Next
one more
tick.
tick. Oh, he has to flash. Yeah, I mean, that really might have killed him. Better safe than sorry.
The power of that Viktor ultimate that almost never was big.
Uh-oh, spear from Beyond onto Tempt. Tempt pops that summoner heal, the flash right away. Death Ray does a bit of damage. Beyond, I don't know if you can get him. Nope, spear dodge. If that had connected, maybe it would have been possible. But good job forcing the summoners out of Tempt at least.
He tried for the smite into spear play, but went wide on it, so no kills on either side. Ian also gets to push in the wave, so Ian doesn't lose out as much because of the jungle gank being successful. He doesn't get pushed in when he decides to recall. Should be much more even in the mid lane. Now, if Bless had his flash up, there could have been some kill pressure here, but no luck.
Could be. And Crazy continues to just like absolutely rock ADD and CS. I mean, this Maokai is getting to the point where he's kind of never going to get to be the Maokai that he needs to be.
So now Bless is in mid lane, as we saw. If he could have stayed hidden, if he hadn't have visited mid lane, because there was no kill pressure when he had his flash down, he could have come to the top lane and tried to deny some of the CS away from AD, get a couple of turret shots in, harass the Maokai, but instead, because he just shows in mid and picks up some CS, Maokai will pick up this massive grouped wave. So I would have liked an extension of what ESC's game plan for the first 10 minutes has been, to continue to hold down the Maokai, but instead, Maokai gleefully going to pick up some CS.
Yeah, I guess so. LokeN a little bit behind in CS himself, but should be able to get quite a bit on this wave.
He's going to tank it up. Just wants to ensure that it pushes towards his turret. And that means the freeze is probably going to be on for Ezreal.
Yeah. Cloud Drake is irritated. I can't blame it. Everyone's just ignoring it. That's no fun.
See, I prefer the aggressive school of thought, which is let's kill this so we get a better one. But it seems like the teams are just, you know, apathetic about it.
Yeah, but see, what if you kill it and then the next team gets a better one?
Then it's just a level of crisis that perhaps you can't get through. So maybe that's the smart move. Just stay away.
Maybe. ESC is certainly starting to put down some vision like they want to try to take the strike. And Ian, a little bit of trouble, uses that Emperor's Divide to push back Bless. Bless actually the one getting taken out. A kill for Ian. Tempt drops a Chaos Storm, but he's going to get jumped on immediately. Ooh, can't get out. Another kill comes in for MVP. That's 2 for nothing. And that aggressive move from ESC really backfired. They're going to go over to the Rift Herald, it looks like.
And no Cloud Drake focus, as you mentioned. They continue with ignoring that Dragon buff. They're going to take the first Rift Herald. That does give Maokai. If Maokai takes the buff, at least he'll have something to try and trade.
True.
With the Trundle on top lane. It won't be enough, though. We may actually not see the Maokai pick it up. Maokai's been basically on emergency terms so far in the game. Yeah, it's going to be beyond picking up the buff. We see the replay. This is just all about baiting and Bless, and they had everyone rotating in at the same time. They instant exposed, and there wasn't even a chance to use the Lamb's Respite, and then Tempt is overextended. He just didn't... Basically, his positioning was assuming the Lamb's Respite would come through and they could fight 2v2 or 2v3, but the moment the Kindred died for free, it was going to be a free donation of a kill as well from Tempt.
Yeah, ESC looking a little bit rough.
Has very much been the story of specifically that Longzhu series, but again, the recent series from ESC Ever. The early game has been unpolished. The reason they brought Bless into the lineup was their previous jungler, Ares, who's also their shot caller, was not a mechanically great player. He was a bit like Bengi in that he couldn't play the Nidalees and Kindreds of the world, so they brought in Bless, who's a lot better mechanically, but their early game is really supposed to be targeted by that, but in these games where Bless can't get a lead, it feels very much like old ESC Ever, and in the late game they don't quite have that same solid shot calling, so it's kind of a lose-lose scenario when Bless doesn't go up.
It's tough. It's tough times. Oh, and finally, Cloud Drake gets some attention from MVP, and Crazy getting a lot of attention from MVP. He's going to flash over the wall to try to escape. Pillar gets put down, but Beyond able to get past it. Spear dodge. Crazy has no turret, though, to run back to, and this is inevitably going to go to MVP. Yep, Beyond picks that one up. And so MVP really starting to find the opportunities here, even as ESC picks up that first dragon.
And unfortunately, this is one of the big trends for ESC Ever. Their vision control isn't the best in the early game, and they'll have these situations where multiple members will go to dragon, and yet the top laner will overextend on the other side of the map. If that was Trace or Jinna, you'd see the top laner hang back, just go and try and pick up a jungle camp, doesn't want to die, and give away a free kill. But in a situation where ESC were applying all their pressure on the top side, we still saw Crazy very overextended in the top side.
He was crazy to be there. And I mean, yeah, look at the wards. He had like no vision.
No idea.
Oh, Trundle. He was like, well, I'm the king of the trolls. I can go wherever I want.
I've got flash up. I'm fine. No, actually not.
Nope.
It is in Italy with red buff.
You're dead. So, A little bit of a slow start for MVP, but they're really kind of starting to bring it back. ADD has not really gotten any farther behind in farm. In fact, he's starting to catch up a little bit, so this one could turn around.
And again, the disconnect between Crazy and Bless is the big story for me. You see, Trundle can't go and enter this minion wave that has been frozen by the Maokai, and Kindred is jungling on the opposite side of the map. If she's farming camps around the Maokai, then at least you can keep pressure, you can keep pushing.
Yeah.
But if Kindred's on the opposite side of the map, Crazy has to overextend, otherwise he'll be denied from multiple waves of farm. So I really want to see the Kindred try and focus the lane where they have power, which is this lane right here.
ADD getting chased by Crazy. Still has that ultimate to use if he wants to, but no, he's just going to force his opponent out of lane. For the moment, anyway. And there we go, the all-in on Tempt. He's going to flash back over the Emperor's Divide. Braum comes in, gets bounced up immediately. Crazy teleports down too. They're going to chase MVP, but nobody to really catch here. And now I suppose you just try to, well, I mean, no minions, so can't really do anything off of that. Flash is used on both mid laners, but they got the teleport out of Crazy, so a little bit of a TP advantage for now for MVP.
And that's just as Crazy was about to hit the minion wave and continue pushing it in top, so he'll lose a couple of CS in that trade. He returns and doesn't lose a lot, but the summoner spell for no gain, not the strongest teleport play from ESC.
Yeah. Well, it's been a bit of an awkward game, hasn't it?
It has. MVP have got some kills, but again, they haven't necessarily got the objectives that kind of behoove them. Once again, we are going to get into a late game situation where Maokai will not be able to enter the Trundle lane very safely. So I want to see them keep applying the pressure. Try to take this turret. Try to take at least the next dragon, because if you avoid objectives and let Crazy continue to power farm, he's 25 CS up despite the recent death, then, you know, there is still an air of inevitability to ESC just having more tools in the late game than MVP will have access to.
Kind of seems that way. Battle for the Grump, 2016. Totoro comes down, gets a Q on to Max. There's the passive, gonna get stunned. They're gonna get the kill on the Max. Now Totoro low, but the Summoner Heal's gonna keep him alive. Beyond has to duck out of this one. Looks like the Lamb's Respite keeps everybody on ESC alive. And ooh, True Shot Barrage does not connect with MaHa, or MaHa. Wow, I jumped back in time there for a moment. MaHa.
So MVP got aggressive because they had the teleport advantage. We mentioned it, Maokai has teleport, but Maokai cannot teleport when in vision of Trundle because the Pillar of Ice interrupts the channel. So the big issue there was that because they were actually tussling in top, ADD hadn't backed off early enough. He couldn't teleport in. Ever had the jump onto MVP. They didn't have the numbers advantage they had when they first conceptualized that play, and ESC comes out with the free kill.
True. Beyond takes a red buff, but they're going to try to collapse on him here. Crazy slows him down with the pillar. Here comes Tempt, takes a spear immediately, though. Beyond goes in for the kill, gets out of the gravity field. Totoro right there for the bloodthirsty support kill, and ESC picks up another one. This one has been really back and forth, but not really for the right reasons, I want to say.
It hasn't been clean. We haven't seen the plays that the team comps kind of grow up, because again, the comps are very focused. The split push comp versus the early team fighting comp and the smart teleport flanking comp. We just haven't seen those things actually happen. It's more been action for action's sake. This has been the popcorn film of the evening.
That's right. This is the
summer blockbuster.
The Michael Bay of League of Legends games.
Don't think about it too hard and you might enjoy it.
I feel like that's more of an LPL thing, but we've got a good amount of kills. Not as many as we should have, but
we just don't average 1 a minute or 10 every 10 minutes.
Sadly not, yeah. So the next Drake is coming up in about 45 seconds now.
MVP still are in a position to take it. They have teleport available. Teleport from Crazy is going to be about 30 seconds disconnected with the spawn of the Drake, but MVP didn't show priority for the first one. See if anything changes.
Oh. Defend the Raptors. Oh, culling. Wow, doing a ton of damage to Bless.
He won't be able to recall and get back, it's worth noting, for that Drake spawn.
It's a big deal with the Drake about to spawn. Oh, never mind, it's a Cloud Drake. It's not a big deal.
Do we have a special name to call triple Cloud Drake from spawn, the first 3 being a Cloud Drake? What do we call that, Doa?
It's a Cloud Fiesta. That's what we call it.
So we got Crown, Clown, and Cloud Fiestas.
That's true.
Fun.
Clown Drake. Yep. All right, they're going to take it out.
Been super, super clean as expected. ADD already invested his teleport as well to guarantee it. Ocean for the next one, so no combat stats allowed.
Guess not. So that's a 1 Cloud Drake for each side now. So they're all each moving a tiny, tiny bit faster.
Exactly. I feel like 1 Cloud Drake from each side is a bit like 0 for either.
Yeah. Whoa! They tried to go all in on the Ian, but he just dodges out of the way.
Didn't even have his flash, but didn't matter. Got away very safely.
Ooh. Oh, just softening up the minions a little bit, I guess.
Now yeah, we'll see the mid lane fighting phase. Trying to push down turrets, but good wave clear on both sides means that's going to be for very little gain.
Now we wait until more crazy gank attempts. Wild, crazy gank attempts.
Yeah, there's definitely an air of inevitability about your voice, and I understand that, though. It's just all that inevitability is leading towards Trundle being able to 1-4 and MVP having no answer to that in terms of their team comp. So it needs to be MVP, once again, being the aggressors, trying to make things happen, because happy Farm Wars is exactly what ESC Ever wants.
Yes. Happy Farm Wars.
Yep.
Is that this meta, pretty much? Or that's Jin-Air's strategy.
It's been happy Farm Wars for a long, long time.
It's true.
That's why the mix-up, the Aurelias and Jaxes ending the world, will be fun.
It should be interesting, but I mean, it just doesn't seem like in League right now that seeking kills in lane especially really has any incentive.
Well, I mean, you just think about how the top lane meta shifted. We used to have a top lane meta where it was all about snowballing a damage carry, getting that Aurelia the first kill to dominate the lane against Jax. Skill matchups that were kill-focused. And then we went to Farm Wars and lane swaps for a long time. Theoretically, those champions coming back into the meta should focus junglers on the top side.
Might be interesting. Crazy flashing over his pillar to try to escape here. He's on the wrong side of the map, though. Gets slowed down, gets snared. There's the Emperor's Divide to put him back in. And despite that Trundle being pretty tanky, he's not quite tanky enough. Big question is, why was he there?
Once again, Kindred was not on the same side of the jungle that they wanted to park the Trundle. They had no vision in the area. ESC Ever. They know they need to split push. They just don't seem to have any idea how to actually put that together.
Apparently so.
You can't just walk into the opposite lane and have teleport ready and have everything be okay. Got one aggressive pink ward down, but that was the sum of the vision in the bot side.
And I think if I remember right, Crazy put that one down while he was in the jungle too, so could be wrong.
Just think back to stories like M5 in years past when they really innovated counter jungling as a theory, and they asked Diamond Prox about his counter jungling. It's like, counter jungling is a team effort, it's not just me. Split pushing is a team effort as well, even though it sounds like it's just one dude on the other side of the map. The other 4 need to give him vision, need to give him cover. Otherwise, what you saw on your screen a few minutes ago is exactly what happens when you try to just 1-4 split push with no pressure on the map.
Yeah, very true. Unless you're playing in solo queue, or I should say dynamic queue, then split pushing is just a one-person thing. Then your Trundle will just keep doing it no matter what.
Doesn't matter if he's 0-10, if he can split push down that inhibitor turret while you lose the game.
You'll be able to eventually. You'll be like, yeah, I got this inhibitor by myself as your Nexus dies.
Defeat.
Thanks, Trundle.
Nasus, unfortunately, does seem to suffer from that as well.
True.
Even with the Trinity Force changes, don't know if we'll see any Nasus at the top level, sadly.
He's a tough one, because he can just get kind of ridiculously strong. So you don't want to buff him too much, or he'll wreck everybody.
You don't want a Nasus meta. That
No.
would be bad.
No, you don't. MVP gets some vision around the Baron, but they weren't able to really find an opportunity to start it out. They do have that Azir, though, so they can probably do it pretty quickly.
No Mountain Drakes, though, to speed up the Baron takes. So both teams will have a pretty good idea of exactly the limits of both comps when it comes to speed at taking down the Baron.
Yep. Welcome back to lane.
It's like he never left. So yes, he's been good at applying pressure. They're going to get a lot of free auto attacks onto the mid lane turret. We've been waiting for the mid lane turrets to open up the game. It hasn't happened yet.
Well, it's going to be pretty close. Oh, there, Semper's Divide onto Bless. Gets caught, has to drop that Lamb's Respite right away. Max low himself. Bless jumps off of the ultimate. A kill comes in for LokeN already. LokeN looking for the double, doesn't quite land it. And Ian has to back off too. So ESC winning that skirmish by quite a bit. And they're going to turn this into a tier 2 turret down in bot lane.
This is just crazy on the roam, getting there first, and Maokai not finding a spot to teleport in. There were a couple of wards, could have teleported to the turret as well. It doesn't do that. And now Maokai would just push up a wave at the cost of a kill and 2 turrets over to ESC.
Yeah. That one kind of blows the gold lead open a little bit. Let's watch it again.
So we see, of course, clearing the pink ward.
Nice.
Is Bless, and then you would think MVP on their side of the jungle would have a numbers advantage, but they don't. With the Lamb's Respite buying time, Maokai finds no way to be involved. Crazy's already there because he was split pushing, and it ends up in a 5v4 on MVP side of the map with no one respecting, and even with a ward being put down, Maokai doesn't teleport. So I have to wonder what's going on with the communication. If you're going to take Maokai into Trundle, you need to be teleporting in fast and effectively, otherwise you're just opting into a losing matchup. Very true.
All right, Ocean Drake goes over to MVP. That's her second Drake of the game. It is helpful.
1,000 gold lead is opened up for ESC Ever. Ravenous Hydra now completed on the Trundle, and now that's where, this is the part of the game where you really need to just double down on giving Trundle some vision, having him split push. Maokai can do nothing in the face of this Trundle, and that should open up eventual Baron pressure for ESC, because their 2-man Baron isn't that powerful if Trundle's not there, but Kindred, attack speed, Blood Razor, very good Baron taker from the jungle.
I suppose that's true. So what does MVP need to do then? Can they just kind of sit back and play for the later game, or they need to find these team fights, find the picks?
Again, they need to find the picks. They need to use the Maokai because they don't have access to the same parts of the map, because Maokai can't really enter lane against Trundle increasingly as time goes on. So they need to get the aggressive vision down. We need to see blue wards littering specifically the ESC side of the jungle, just so they can get those teleport flanks that better teams, you know, Someday, for example, on KT always seems to have a great spot to teleport ward, to teleport flank in, because his team sets him up to do it on the Maokai.
Well, Someday also just feels like he does more damage than anyone else on Maokai too. That guy is insane.
But you look at his build and his items, his runes, they're the same as everyone else. So people are like, oh, how does he do it? He does it because the wards are always there for him to always be in combat. He's 100% of the time involved in those fights. So of course he puts out more damage. He's there more often. Whereas we just saw a long team fight where ADD never even found a spot to teleport in. So that's the issue, is that getting this Maokai into the fights is what MVP needs to do.
Well, Ian pushing in that top lane now.
You just contrast this to ESC's last series, where Longzhu were dictating to them. The games were both over by the 28-minute mark, and ESC Ever had kind of no idea what to do against a team that was both assertive and smart in the early game. Unfortunately for MVP, they have not managed to do both those things at the same time, and that means that they're just kind of allowing ESC to get to a phase where they just have so many different advantages based on the 5 champions they picked up that they should inevitably take it out if they play cleanly from there.
This is one of those games, though, where you feel like it's really not over till it's over, just because both teams have been kind of making interesting decisions here and there. We'll see. So a team fight could happen. That could swing it.
Sure.
One way we might not expect.
If we've learned anything about MVP from watching them, is that you wait for the Nexus to explode before you award the winner.
Yeah, that's
very close.
Man, KT will tell you that.
That was one of those losses where at the end of the season you're like 53 hit points another way, and it could have been a different season.
Yeah. MVP's had some pretty tragic losses this season overall. I mean, that wasn't the only one that came down to a very small thing that cost him the game. Ian being fancy on the Azir.
5 CS advantage for Crazy. Can't quite ignore the Maokai and turrets to do turret damage just yet, but that phase is definitely coming soon. Needs a bit of health and armor to complement the magic resist and AD he's put on so far.
So if Azir is like controlling his soldiers and telling them what to do, but one of his abilities is like fly towards his soldier, is he just like angry at that one? He wants to get up in his face and yell at him? It's like, I told you to hit that minion. You didn't last hit that minion. And then like sometimes the soldier runs away and he follows his soldier. So he really wants to yell at him.
I don't really know the relationship between the Sand Soldiers and Azir. The whole thing's a bit creepy, to be honest.
That's the impression I'm getting anyway.
How does he construct a turret instantly?
Magic.
He's got the magic going.
Pretty easy, pretty easy answer there, obviously. He's a magic space bird.
He's a lot of things at the same time.
It's true.
A magic space bird that commands sand.
Yeah, magic space bird. That was, if I would have been a professional basketball player in the 80s, that's what they would have called me, I think.
Natural rivalry for you there.
Yep.
It's Magic Johnson.
Or Larry Bird. Ah, see?
That's true.
Yep. Got all my bases covered there.
So many storylines you could cover there.
That's right. The life that could have been. Basketball superstar. I asked Monty yesterday if he could dunk a basketball, and he said he couldn't even touch the rim.
Really?
Yep, I could touch the rim.
He's not that short.
I know, he and I are about the same height. But I had the madder hops, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah.
You like wearing your kicks also, so.
I do. I didn't have the maddest hops. I had, you know, perturbed hops.
You didn't have the maddest hops in Minnesota?
No.
Sad.
Some pretty good basketball players out there, though.
That's true.
Nope. I just kind of stood there and waited for people to pass me the ball. And then I put it in because I was tall.
Were you were tall in high school? You weren't a late bloomer when it came to height?
No.
I could see you as a center. That makes sense.
Listen to this voice. Does this sound like the voice of a late bloomer? I don't think so.
I don't know. You could have flourished early. It's hard to say. Or flourished late, sorry.
That was Baron time for ESC. Oh, never mind. It's not. Wow, those spikes really chased Bless there.
You cannot solo the Baron with any
I don't think so.
degree of success, as you could very well see on that screen. Yes, he did not want to commit to that Baron.
Yeah. Well, the next dragon is up, and I believe it was a mountain? Might have been ocean again. I don't remember. Oh, it's Infernal, actually. Wow, I was totally wrong. Infernal Drake now, and ESC, they've just started it, and this could be a nice little damage boost for them. Oh, unless Beyond comes in and takes it. He tried, but Bless got it just in time. That was close. I thought that spear was going to get it.
And that means only 3 Drakes actually spawn. So 4 Drakes, sorry, do spawn, but 4 Drakes before the Infernal. But you have to say the only really important one when it comes to the buff and stats is going to be the Infernal that was got last. So ESC could definitely pick up 12%
Yeah.
bonus AD and AP if they were to claim the Elder Drake.
And now MVP going for this Baron buff. ESC has no vision. Now the True Shot barrage comes through. They know what's up.
Kindred's in base, doesn't matter.
Are they going to fight it? They have to try something. Nope, Baron taken by MVP, and ESC just kind of has to watch.
Yeah, Bless
That
had
hurts.
recalled. He was in base. There was no way for them to truly contest it. ESC just seemed like they're surprised by the reality, but they didn't have appropriate wards to do what they did, and that's kind of been the story about their split push. And here we go.
Ian goes in, tries to make a play. Whoops, that was I don't think he wanted to do that.
That was a sick play, Noah.
Sick donation, Ian.
And you know what the hilarious thing is? You see that, and you're like, oh, he just didn't have time to press his Zonias. He doesn't even have a Zonias. He was just like, I'm doing it, boys.
Nope, he's like, I'm going to make the plays. Well, there goes all their Baron pressure. Whoops. It has been a bit of a comedy of errors. I mean, ESC just kind of backing off after that dragon with no wards around Baron, so of course MVP just gets a free one. Then the sickest play.
I'm going in, boys. I'm dead.
I got this. Oh, no! That's where, like, he chats and he's like, why did you guys go in with me? Why is my team so bad? I should be diamond, but I'm stuck here in gold 5 with the plebs.
Oh, Ian.
I make the sickest plays and nobody follows up.
So look, they still have the Baron on 4 members, though, and it's actually really important because you have to mention that one of the things that Trundle will have issues doing is split pushing against a Baron buff. So suddenly, Maokai can enter the bot lane, the super minions will help him out, and there isn't that split push pressure. It's removed from the map for the duration, so MVP do get at least one small advantage there.
Fight over the blue buff, and the blue buff does get taken by the blue team. Looks like Beyond ended up getting that one. Man, that was one of the saddest plays I think I've seen this season yet.
This definitely does feel like
buddy.
we're casting the Challenger League for a series.
Well, you know, a few months ago this would have been.
Yep.
But now they made it to the big leagues. Mid lane turret does go down in MVP's favor, able to use that Baron buff a bit at least. Here comes Crazy, gets the turret onto ADD. ADD pretty tanky though in that Maokai. And it's gonna back away.
You know when you watch an international event and say two Chinese teams play against each other and suddenly you can see very much as the LPL meta and not the world meta that you'd expect at Worlds? It feels like we're getting the challenger meta in the middle of our LCK broadcast.
This has been, it's been an interesting game, that's for sure. All right, here we go. ADD going in, trying to protect that turret. MaHa comes from the side with the culling. That's a lot of damage. Lucian gets the kill.
They're gonna keep going.
Yep, Totoro goes down. MaHa tries to flash ahead, but maybe an ill-advised flash. He's not able to really get any damage done. All right, well, I appreciate the effort. And so that was nearly a mid lane tier 2 turret taken by ESC against the Baron pressure of MVP.
But suddenly, they've still got Baron buff for about 30 seconds, so let's see how many turrets MVP can rack up with Totoro still dead for 10 seconds.
Well, they may be able to get this inhibitor turret. We'll see. Meanwhile, a giant wave pushing down the top lane. This inhibitor, though, looks like it will go over to MVP.
No way for ESC Ever to do anything. They don't really have true initiation on this team. It's Trundle and perhaps a flash Braum. Oh, Braum was dead.
Yep.
They can go back. They can catch the massive wave. Looks like MaHa will be the one to profit. No, MaHa will go bot. He doesn't get the massive minion wave. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Maokai. No. Maokai's called off as well. And Azir.
Did they not notice this? There we go. Okay. Ian.
That was definitely fighting in the comms when you're like, this me. No, me.
Maybe he's just been demoted to minion wave clearing duty. Like, no more plays for you.
Maybe they just want him to get his Zonias so he won't repeat the previous initiation.
I think that might be part of it too, but he's got a long way. I mean, he hasn't even started that Zonias yet. He actually ended up going for the Void Staff as his third item, it looks like.
Zonias doesn't build as naturally if you can't buy the whole thing. It doesn't build out a needlessly large rod anymore, so the itemization will be different. In fact, yeah, there it is. Straight Zonias.
Yeah, okay, he does just pick it up. I was about to make a joke about him not selling his Doran's ring, but I guess he did have the money in the end anyway. Oh, hello.
Balmy Cinder.
Oh, he probably could have made it, actually. That's a funny thing. He probably could have just let that recall go, but now he's on the run, and they decide, they're like, wait a second, we're both top laners. This accomplishes nothing.
It was a Guardian Angel 4-item Maokai, so the kill pressure is still there, but going to take a lot longer. As usual, didn't have vision to go for an extended trade, so smart of Crazy to back away.
It's like the kill eventuality. It's not really the pressure.
Sure.
Per se. 35 seconds until the Elder Drake decides to spawn, and Tempt decides to walk into a brush.
Here comes the root.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't kill him, though. Ooh, that was close.
They're going to commit and tunnel on the turret, which is just fine from an MVP perspective. They finally turned it on. It took 32 minutes, but the Baron buff and afterwards actually been really good from MVP. Yeah,
well, nice spear on the Bless there. Big Karma Shield, they're going to go in on this inhibitor turret. Totoro pops a Braum ultimate. Two-shot barrage comes through for a bit of damage, but MVP successfully backs away without taking too much. In terms of hits from ESC, they're going to just walk right back in now. Take down the turret, as Ever has some issues here.
They certainly do. Culling will be up in about 15 seconds time, so probably the next minion wave, they'll have culling as well to really start pushing for. We already saw the culling explode Totoro the last time it was used.
Yep. Be an easy turret kill. Yes, it will. Bless takes a lot of damage again. And meanwhile, Crazy decides to go in, trying to make a play here. Pulls a few of the members of MVP over. Culling used. They're going to back off.
Elder Drake and Baron spawning in a minute, so smart to back away, get control of the map, pick up those objectives, and then MVP can end the game.
Well, it's been they lose a turret in bot lane. It's been a bit of a silly game, but MVP, since they got the Baron buff, has been closing semi-methodically, I guess you could say.
You have to say their clean play with the Baron kind of is at odds with some of the other players this game. I felt like both teams drafted well and then just really didn't know how to pilot the comps they ended up with. So it was a messy first 30 minutes. But yeah, 32 minutes onwards with the Baron pickup, MVP have looked much cleaner. Still haven't ended the game though, so still time for ESC Ever to find a big team fight win. And that time is now 40 minutes plus. They're going to start to get pretty damn serious.
Wow, that's a long one. I thought you meant to say 40 seconds, but you meant it was 40 minutes on the game clock. I got you.
The only reason I specify that timer is because after 40 minutes, the death timers are just as long as they were previously.
Right.
They were tweaked between, I believe, 28 and 40 minutes.
Yep. Well, Max takes some hits. Culling serves to push away. MVP for the moment, anyway.
Has there been one?
ESC for the moment.
Has there been one teleport flank this game?
I don't believe there has, actually, interestingly enough. But then again, if neither team is really warding well, it's pretty tough to make those teleport flanks, isn't it?
That's a good call, actually.
Yeah.
Front on initiate Maokai has been sufficient.
That's right. He's taking the Volibear strategy today, apparently. Just run at him.
Whatever works.
Does it?
Not often, Doa, but in this series.
Wow. That's a lucky troll.
So no one has vision of the Infernal Drake. Literally one blue ward and no other wards in the area.
The Elder Dragon. A lot of vision over that at the moment.
6 Herald for MaHa. MaHa's really strong.
He's going for it. All right. Youmu's into the culling, and here's the teleport play coming from behind. ADD on top of everybody. Jumps onto LokeN. They're going to blow up the AD carry immediately. Emperor's Divide comes through. Pushes Crazy away from the rest of his team. ADD still going strong. Going on to Bless now. And MVP has won this fight, and it looks like they may be ready to win this game unless Tempt can get a couple kills here. ADD blocking for his support. Baron is up, but I don't think you can take it with that amount of health left.
I understand MVP strategy now. Lull them into a false sense of security. Really nice teleport flank when they got it. LokeN was just outside the radius of the Lamb's Respite, so did die instantly. Really nice pick from MVP.
And you can see, actually, that Ocean Drake they picked up earlier making a big impact in terms of how they're regenning. Look at that. Look at how much they've regen.
Okay,
it has nothing to do with the Nidalee heal.
Okay, you've been
or
really...
the Karma. It's all just regen. It's better than the Cloud Drake.
Definitely. It is better than the Cloud Drake. We'll give you that one. Really nice teleport play. They're conspicuous by their absence for 40 minutes, but really nice play there when they finally took it, and it should still be Baron. The death time is long. LokeN's just respawned. No way for Kindred to get to this one.
Shabraj coming in, and ooh, that was really close, actually. Ooh, that was really close.
Far too close for comfort.
Yeah. Well, ESC loses another Baron over to MVP, and now the question is, can MVP close this one out? You know, they would have been able to end the game in the last team fight if they would have finished it with a little bit more health remaining on their team members.
So Nidalee showed top, hasn't backed yet. Will back now, has 2,800 gold in the inventory, so pick up a straight death cap. ESC tried to rush down to Elder Drake, but just like when they tried to split push, and honestly, just like the first 42 minutes of this game, they've had no vision on the map at any point, so they couldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it has not been good for vision, that's for sure.
I want someone to do the stat and find out this is the lowest wards placed game in the history of champions.
I don't know about that. I mean, we did have teams like Team Dark back in the day.
Since Season 4 started.
But then again, you could buy wards back then. You can't really do that now. Except for pink wards. MVP moving in with the Baron buff. Just bypassing the Elder Drake. Two-shot barrage goes through, takes a chunk out of Max, but MVP unperturbed as they go for this middle inhibitor. And it looks like they will get it. Yep, probably a good idea to rotate, just take out the rest of those inhibitors now. No reason to really try to push the base too aggressively.
They have good turret damage, and ADD can just stand in the front, full health Maokai with Guardian Angel.
Wow, LokeN just took a spear in the face. That's 2 inhibitors down, so MVP, see if they decide to keep the pressure on, or if maybe it's time to go back and get that Elder Dragon.
If we know anything about MVP, and again, you kind of have shades of that KT Rolster game.
A little bit. This
is the scenario where they go for the tutorial victory. They will try to force down the 3rd inhibitor, and it was this game plan, specifically the sort of defensive game plan Jin Air, especially in 2015, were known for.
Well, the thing is that ESC is only 6,000 gold behind. I mean, Ezreal, Viktor, you know, can do a lot of damage. Trundle can cause problems, so ESC can still win a team fight. But will they actually go for it?
Push up. A lot of Baron buff minions here.
Yep, that's right. There goes the inhibitor turret. ADD caught in the gravity field, has to flash away. And with that Maokai so low, ESC may be able to make something happen here.
No chance to re-engage. The Guardian Angel won't be enough for the front line, so the moment that ADD is DPS'd out, they don't get the turret either. He will just walk away. They might be able to pick up the Elder Drake on the backside, though.
That looks like they will. Thought maybe ESC might chase them down, but with the super minion waves already moving into the base, they really don't have that luxury. So there goes the Elder Drake.
True damage burn will now be added to the extra regen and slightly more movement speed out of combat. So only combat stats from the Drakes were that Elder Drake buff and, of course, the Infernal. Now, in a team fight, as you mentioned, if we do see MVP fully commit, Trundle ults the Maokai, and then they can just DPS him down. If they blow that a Guardian Angel on the Maokai early, the rest of MVP basically have to run back. There is no tankiness on anyone outside the Maokai. So just team comp-wise, we never saw the 1-4 win condition, but there is still very much going to be a chance that ESC, with the right target selection, can win that team fight.
Yeah. Might be tough for MVP or for ESC now, though, as MVP has the Baron buff and they have the Elder Drake buff. And all the inhibitor turrets are down, and soon all the inhibitors will be down. And soon the Nexus will probably be dead.
We've said that before, though, with MVP. No guarantees yet.
True. They're going to go in. A little bit of damage on the Crazy. The spear goes through. ESC pushed away already. And MVP, yep, they look like they're ready to end this one if possible. All three lanes pushing in super minion waves right now. And what do you do if you're ESC? There's really nothing at this point.
You need to go Rambo, you need to force a pick, we need to flash Braum ultimate, you need to fight now, otherwise you will just lose to minion pressure.
Oh, it's a lot of damage. That works. Man, all right, well, there goes next.
Here we go.
Number one getting low, the Chaos Storm dropped. Totoro tries to make a play. Lamb's Respite keeps ESC alive for the moment anyway. ADD very low on that Maokai. The ult from Trundle did work. Unfortunately, though, the entire team melts. A double kill for Ian. And there go the Nexus turrets. Crazy, LokeN, the last one standing. And they will not be able to stop MVP from finishing this one off. And so, a messy first game. MVP, though, comes up with the win and may be on track to get their first match win of the season.
MVP only really showed match-winning form about 30 minutes in. Their turn with the Baron was perhaps the most impressive macro play and what was a really interesting one for the casual watcher. They get the win. They didn't necessarily play to their win condition of really pressing their advantage early, but Ever, their setups for the 4-1 split push were really poor. Crazy was caught out a lot. The Baron was eventually taken for free because they had no vision on that side of the map. Right. They traded just an Infernal Drake for the Baron. And the Baron buff play is what really separated two teams that, on the day, played pretty poorly.
My favorite moment of that game was when Ian dove in on the Azir and immediately died. That was my highlight anyway. And so MVP getting the win in our first game of the day here. Man, it's going to be quite a large contrast between our first best of three and our second one today, isn't it?
You would hope so.
I know so. I know so, Papa Smithy. But yes.
There's definitely no guarantee that MVP will be able to take a 2-game clean win, but Ever has definitely been on the downswing recently. Damage to champions chart, pretty unsurprising, except no someday level Maokai damage numbers for ADD.
We certainly could see this go to 3 games, couldn't we? I believe we could.
I mean, the pick bans could be super different. Remember, all junglers were available here outside of Elise, so we saw